Hey everybody, it's Wootini. Welcome to another one of my Game Gamer video podcasts. As you can see, I have a special guest here. We've got ROCsteady back in the house again.
Hey guys.
He's here to talk about a very specific game that he just finished. I have not finished anything else because I only just started stuff, but I'm still waiting for Skyrim and still debating whether I want to start anything new. But I do have that whole shelf full of games that I've yet to finish. Unfortunately, as I have realized, going back to finish a game that you stopped playing many, many months ago, it's really hard because you forget the controls, you forget where you were, you don't know what you're supposed to be doing, and it becomes a whole thing. So I'm afraid those games are going to stay unfinished. Although I do have some DLC for LA Noire that I think I have like maybe 2 cases that I haven't done, so I could do those. Those will be fun.
Well, you were saying that a lot of games that you like games that are more linear because if you take a break, you kind of remember where you were with the story. But a game that's more open world, it's harder to get back into it because there's just so much to do.
Yes, but again, even the ones that have a linear story. See, the thing is, the ones with a linear story are the ones that keep me playing.
Right.
The open world kind of games are the ones where I get distracted by side quests and I'm not compelled by the story, so I'll kind of lose interest in it.
Right.
The problem with the linear story ones is when you try to go back into the linear story, you forget where you were, you forget who the characters were, you don't know what's going on, and you lose any kind of narrative thread that the game once had.
But you're more of a fan of the linear stories than you are of a
yeah, because those are the ones that'll keep me playing, and I might not lose interest in it.
Exactly. Okay.
And it also needs to not be too long. It needs to be like a Mass Effect or like Infamous was a great length.
About 15 hours. Yeah.
And I don't know. I didn't time how long I was playing it. It doesn't have the counter and the save screen, so
right.
I don't know for sure how long I was playing it. But it took me a while. It took me probably almost a month. There was another one that I was going to say as a really good like length of finishing a game. But anyway, it's those like 40 to 50 hour RPGs that like I will be much less likely to finish because I just don't have time for it. But you're here because you just finished a game that I really want to play, but like I said, I don't think I'm going to be able to finish it in a month when Skyrim comes out, and then I'm going to want to play Skyrim really bad, and then I will never finish the end of Deus Ex, Human Revolution. But for later on, when it is available used for $25 in the bargain bin, like all the other games that I'm going to end up getting out of the bargain bin, so I'm going to save myself a lot of money. See, I'm looking on the bright side. How is it? Specifically, I want to know how it compares to the other two, because I thought the first one was amazing, and a lot of people didn't like the second one, but I still thought it was pretty good. So how does this one work in the series?
Well, I'll have to say this. I've spent the past week living in this game, and not since BioShock has a game really drawn me into its world the way that Deus Ex Human Revolution has. And it's no surprise, because Eidos Montreal, or Eidos specifically, has had its financial pause and its talent in some of the studios that brought us System Shock and the original Deus Ex series. And BioShock is considered the spiritual successor of both games. So it's been really exciting, and one of my favorite parts, the most interesting parts about this game is, like, I've coming to the Deus Ex series for the first time. I found it with all of its complexity and the variety of different gameplay mechanics to be very accessible and easy to jump into.
Well, no, I mean, that's the thing that I think that's what I liked about Deus Ex and its sequel is it wasn't like a super hard, because a lot of the first-person shooters, they tend to be like really intense and very hard, but the Deus Ex was specifically set up so that you can choose to create the kind of character that you want, to approach the missions in the way that you want, and what will be, easier for you. So you can almost make the game as difficult or easy as you want. Like, you can say, oh, like, I always played it, like, I always augmented up the hacking and the lockpicking and the sneakiness, and I was always stealthily going in and taking people out and sniping and whatever. I was never barreling in guns blazing, because that that was hard.
Well, just to kind of bring it back to this specific game, Deus Ex Human Revolution, similar to the earlier parts of the series, is first-person action RPG with shooter, stealth, and adventure gameplay elements. You start off playing as Adam Jensen. This game is considered a prequel to the other of the series. It's set in 2027. Okay. He's an ex-SWAT team member, and he has just been hired by Seraph Industries to be their head of security. Now, Seraph Industries is leading in the world right now with the innovation of prosthesis. And this is a society where prosthetic limbs, prosthetic organs, and even neuro-augmentation is considered commonplace. And companies like Seraph Industries are vying for market saturation. Essentially, the problem here is the human body rejects most prosthetics, and that's commonplace even today. And I think it's interesting social commentary because it almost there's a need for a drug called there's a certain drug in the game world that people who are augmented are required to take in order to continue to maintain the augmentations. So you have this world that's dependent on this medication to function, and I think it's an interesting social commentary. It runs parallel with the pharmaceutical companies of our world today.
So the story is good.
Oh my God, it's brilliant. I mean, there is definitely spy movie melodrama going on, but if you really take the time to explore and hack computers and look through emails and look at these little things called ebooks, you really get a lot of the backstory. And in most games, I would say a lot of the backstory, if you look, it feels like fluff. But in this game, there's actual practical use for him, because there were a few occasions where I got information I wouldn't have gotten anywhere else but emails that actually saved my butt in one specific boss fight.
Well, that's actually really interesting, because that's the thing, is like, the Elder Scrolls games, they always say, oh, we've got all these books and scrolls and things you can read, and I'm like, yeah, but they don't add anything except flavor, and it's like, there's so many of them, like, you can't possibly read them all. I wanted to ask you also, I've seen a lot of people online complaining about some of the boss battles being next to impossible and it being really, really hard.
Well, if you look at the core mechanics, you have Adam Jensen in the beginning, first hour of the game, gets fatally wounded, and he has to go through this intense operation where Seraph Industries reconstructs his body with all the top augmentations.
$6 million man.
Exactly. And he, this leads to the core mechanics of the game, which is the augmentation menu. And you can choose a variety of things, like you were saying. You can choose to be a master hacker and turn bots and turrets against your enemies. You can specialize in stealth and dual takedowns and sneak into a police station and sneak undetected and knock out the cops and grab the information you need. Or you could totally muscle through it and muscle up your arms or leg prosthesis and go in guns blazing. There are just a variety of different choices here. So when you get to boss battles, you know, depending on how you augment yourself, you can approach it in different ways. The thing about the augmentation system, it really allows you, depending on what path you choose, to really focus on what makes Deus Ex a truly exceptional game, and that's its exceptional level design. It's the combination of the skill tree and the level design that truly make this a worthwhile experience. So when you get to boss battles, you've already experienced the stealth. Maybe you've invested in the invisibility cloak shield, and you know you're hiding in the shadows, ready to jump on the boss. I've heard a lot of complaints about the boss battles and had initial trouble, but I found one thing, especially for the first two bosses, it definitely works on. If you choose the path of non-lethal takedowns, you get equipped with a stun gun. The stun gun will essentially paralyze the boss, and you can keep spamming that stun gun. So the first two boss battles can be easy if you choose to do that. And also, later in the boss battles, the environment is a key factor, so you want to make sure that you're beefing up and protecting Adam Jensen from the environment and certain grenade types to make the boss battle pretty simple.
Okay, so I'd be alright then, because, I mean, like, when I played Infamous, one of the first things that I augmented, like, as far as, like, augmenting the powers that he had.
Yeah.
Like, the first thing that I was doing is upping his defense and resistance and health. Like, I'm always doing that. Like, whenever I play any kind of an RPG-style game where you're able to spend points to increase like strength and agility and health. I am always going for constitution or health to get my health points up as high as possible so that when I get beat up, I don't die as quickly. So maybe I'd be all right. So if you don't choose stealth, you don't get a stun gun?
No, in the first mission you have an option to you can. It's a mild morality choice. You can either go in there and take care of the invaders lethally or non-lethally.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big fan of killing people. So I went in there and chose non-lethal. And you get there's two non-lethal weapons in the game. It's the stun gun and the tranquilizer dart. And I chose, you can choose either close range or long range, and I always chose close range, so they gave me the stun gun.
Mm.
So that's how you get these weapons without having to purchase them later on.
Interesting. Well, I'm still kind of psyched for it. It still sounds good. There's so many games coming out right now that I don't even know what to do. You know, like there's that, Arkham City, Skyrim, Skyward Sword. I know Dance Central 2 is coming out soon. That's a totally different kind of thing.
That's exciting. We have to play it together.
But, yes. There will be no videos of that. Don't even get that idea. And it's not even Christmas time. Like, that's what's boggling my mind. Like, why are all these games coming out in September, October?
Because they always do.
Like,
this is when they come out, and then they hit us with 3 more in Christmas time.
You know, because then November's going to come along, and they're going to be like, here's our big Christmas releases. And you're like, I need to take a month off from work so I can play games.
Drake's
non-stop.
Deception is totally going to be like my December.
Then there's that 2-pack of the first 2 games you can get, and that would be a good deal. Like, it's like a discount price. It's a 2-pack of they bundled it together with all the DLC stuff and everything.
The best third-person shooter ever in existence right now.
I'm just like, I should totally pick that up.
Uncharted.
Not gonna happen, but it's on the list. It's a very long list, but it's on the list. Anything else you want to say about Deus Ex, other than how good it is and awesome?
Deus Ex, I mean, it's a lot of things. It's the kind of game that you want to take your time with. The more time and effort you take, exploring different pathways and reading the
Which is
ebooks.
why I'm not playing it, because I won't be able to finish it, because I am going to be that much of a completist and I won't be able to get it done by October.
You know, the more... I totally feel you on that. I'm a total completist when it comes to that. But there is a complaint I do have about it. Deus Ex is not the prettiest game I've played.
Really?
A lot of the texture mapping, especially on the NPCs, are a little like a late PS2, early current-gen launch title. I mean, there were times when I was talking to some of the women in the world, and it felt like I was talking to like a 95-year-old Carol Channing. Total marionette status. Like, it was pretty frightening. So
yeah.
I kept the subtitles on, and I just kind of read them and let them do the voice acting, kind of take me through the story. Yeah, it's pretty bad as far as that's concerned, and I kind of feel like if they had spent more time with the graphics, it would really make this game almost perfect in my book. But, when you play this game, take your time with it, enjoy it, do not rush through it, and, when you finish a level, go back once the enemies are out of there and you can loot and hack and beef up your character, and you can find all the different pathways that you could have taken, and it makes the second and third and probably even fourth playthrough even that much more worthwhile. It's definitely worth checking out.
Awesome. Well, I will, at some point. Well, thank you for coming. And
Sure,
thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye!
Bye, guys!